Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of On the Mark here on Westfield Community Programming Channel 15, now on Southwick Community Programming Channel 15, and 89.5 FM WSKB. I'm your host, Mark Auerbach, and over the last few months, you've heard us talk quite frequently about the creative economy in Western Massachusetts and how it fuels every city and small town in the western part of the state, from theater and music that generates here and moves on to Broadway, and Hollywood's filming constantly now in Western Massachusetts. And we have a lot of artists who live and work here. The Arts Extension Service at the University of Massachusetts has been developing a program with some other entities called Artshub, which is launching this month. And in January 10th through the 14th to be exact, there will be a Creative Economy Summit, a virtual 4-day program where people in the creative economies, from those just starting out as artists or working in the business to those that are experts, the opportunity to network, collaborate, and take workshops and seminars with experts in the field, some of them who have ties to Western Massachusetts, and many of them who don't. But this first segment today, we're going to talk about the Artshub, and we have with us you have to wave when I say your names. Boyle Clapp from the Arts Extension Service at the University of Massachusetts. Blair Winans, who is the graphic designer and the mastermind behind the technology of Artshub. Justin Beatty, who's one of the community outreach people involved in Artshub. I'm Mark Auerbach, and Sean Moloney, who is the CEO of Dramatic Health, the creator of Game Changers in Medicine, a podcast series that we featured here on this program. And Sean is going to be one of the guest speakers on this program between January 10th and 14th. So welcome to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So, Dee, let's start with you. What is Artshub, and what is this summit that's happening January 10th through 14th?
Sure. Well, first, I just want to clarify that this is not just the Arts Extension Services project. This has been a project that's been in the works for a number of years in collaboration with a group called the Creative Economy Network. And for the Artshub itself, there's a co-coordinator, Lisa Duvall, who's been working with us and at the Creative Economy Network for years and years, who works with the Franklin County Chamber of Commerce. So the Creative Economy Network is made up of a group of folks who are all representatives of different entities that also represent organizations that are for artists and arts organizations. So a variety of folks all across the Valley, and now including the Berkshires. So the Artshub itself is the culmination of a series of workshops, trainings, listening sessions with artists and creatives in these 4 counties of Western Massachusetts. And what we kept asking people is, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? What do you want? And different training ideas came out of it, et cetera. But almost to a T, everybody kept saying, we need a place, a virtual hub where we can not only, share what we are doing, but learn what other people are doing. We want a place that we can connect. So the Artshub is going to include a variety of things, including an artist directory. Who's here? Who do I collaborate with? I need an actor. Who am I going to find? Where am I going to find them quickly? So that's on the hub. What the Artshub also has is a number of sections, and Blair can talk about this as well, a number of sections where we want artists to actually fill in. So there are sections like, I am looking for an art studio. Blair has an art studio that's for rent and available. So that's a place that people can fill in each section and find one another. There are jobs, there's internship opportunities. We're posting a lot of professional opportunities. And then there's the trainings. So just to launch into what is the summit briefly, it is a 4-day extravaganza, basically, of a virtual summit that will have multiple events happening. The launch is on January 10th with an opening session, just welcoming everybody to come and say thank you to everybody who's participated. And then a whole series of events happening for the rest of the week that is basically going to focus on how artists can recover and thrive in this sort of quasi-COVID moment of time. Where are we at? So there are a variety of different topics, and we can talk about those in more depth. But so that's basically what this is going to be, a series of events happening the entire week that are happening at 10 a.m., noon, and then at 6. So people who have different schedules can have an opportunity to take part and really have an opportunity to learn and share and, get a chance to network as well.
We should add that anybody can participate, and you pay one registration fee, and you can go to one event or all of them. And
Mhm.
I believe, if I'm correct, you can stream some of them after the fact if you can't make it to some, as long as you registered for the summit. So I know that I've been very fortunate to work with you, Dee and Justin, in terms of putting together some of the speakers. And that's where Sean Moloney comes in. Sean and I have presented programs for Western New England University and other entities, and understand the importance of helping emerging artists and emerging businesses to utilize the creative economy to grow their business, whether they're a creative business or not. Justin, how did you get involved with this, and what's your role?
Well, pleasantly, some folks in my community reached out to me and said that there was a potential opportunity to work with the Artshub, a website which was being developed. So I reached out to Lisa and Dee and said I was interested in connecting with them about this. And we had a lovely conversation, interview/conversation. And I really like the idea of being able to connect local artists, opportunities with different workshops, with different businesses, with other artists, with education around what it means to do business as an artist. And so I took on the role of community liaison. Primarily, I work with the Native American community. I'm a member of the Native American community here in Western Massachusetts, and have been reaching out to various artists of different styles and media and genre about the Artshub and about the summit to try to get them to not only increase their visibility, but to increase their opportunities to learn about these things and to learn about where are the spaces that they can then operate and engage with. Who are the other artists in their area? Like, how do we find ways to work together and, thusly increase the visibility of some of the marginalized groups in Western Massachusetts, as well as just the general arts community? Like, who are the folks in this community, and how do we engage with them in a way that makes sense for folks as creatives, which can be very different than some of the other fields of work out there. What the needs are of creatives can be vastly different, not only from person to person, but say from, the medical field or the legislative field or these other things. So being able to connect people with that, where that's something that had been lacking for a lot of folks, is really valuable and important to me.
Yeah. When you mention the Native American community here in Western Massachusetts, just to give people a perspective, what kind of numbers are we talking about? It doesn't seem to me to be a community that's visible in the same way that some of the other minority communities are. Are we talking about a couple of hundred people? Are we talking about several thousand?
We're talking about several thousand people. The unfortunate consequence of uh, the way the education system has worked is most people don't envision us in a modern context, right? They don't think about the fact that we're their neighbors, we're their teachers, we're their doctors, we're their artists in their community. And so there's a vibrant community here that interacts all the time. But people kind of have a buffer, mental buffer, that they expect us to appear in a particular way. And so they therefore don't necessarily know how to engage with us. I recently helped uh, curate 2 gallery shows featuring Native artists, one at the Paper City Clothing Company called November Red that runs through December 18th. And the other is called Sky, the Native American exhibit, which is at the 50 Arrow Gallery in East Hampton, in Eastworks in East Hampton. And it was an opportunity for a lot of folks to not only see the Native artists, but to see and meet other Native folks who came to the show. There are events going on quite often. There's the Intertribal Council of Western Massachusetts that operates out of Springfield. They do a ton of events. I'm putting on a powwow in May of next year on the Amherstown Common. So there are a lot of events, and there's a large community here of Native folks that are from all over the United States and Canada, as well as people that are indigenous to Massachusetts. But again, the visibility factor is, I think, intimately tied to the idea of us as, these archaic, ancient people, and not somebody who's walking down the street on a cell phone talking about, the Pats game. So, I think working with the Artshub is an opportunity to increase the visibility of creatives that do not only traditional crafts, but are contemporary artists as well.
My next question is to Blair. Blair, you're kind of the architect of the Artshub website, and I know you've gotten a lot of input from and a lot of evaluation from many people. Is this a unique, the Artshub, is this a unique type of project to the area, or are there other parts of the country where Artshubs exist?
Well, we looked at a bunch of, we definitely looked at a bunch of other arts hubs. And, again, I think this project is unique because I think we looked at a lot of the things that were out there. And the problem is getting people involved. And that's really the, you would look at some and it was just kind of like, well, there's, they created this space and we need people to take advantage of it. And in some cases they did, in some cases they didn't. We wanted to hit the ground running with the Artshub. And so, part of the scope of the project was really just taking advantage of what's already being done at Creative Ground, which is part of NEFA. And all of they have essentially like the ability, all these artist profiles and everything already searchable on their site, but, from a much wider region. And so we looked at that as just like, okay, well, here we need kind of like a primer for the Artshub to really just, help get things off the ground, and using some of that data and bringing in some of those profiles, but making it very specific to Western Mass was part of our goal. But ultimately, the Artshub is going to need to be driven by artists and everybody in the community themselves to contribute whatever they can in terms of opportunities, workshops, events, funding opportunities, space opportunities, everything. All those things cumulatively are what the Artshub website is designed to do. But it needs to be driven, and it is going to take participation in order to keep everything moving forward. And so working with Dee, that was kind of always part of the plan of just kind of like, we get the site up, we have this summit, explain how to take advantage of it. And all the opportunities that can be, worked through on this website. And that's kind of where the overall goal.
So the Artshub, anybody that lives or works in Massachusetts or Western Massachusetts can participate. Is there a charge to be listed or to utilize the services, or is it grant funded?
I'll take that one if you don't mind. It's free, it's open, it's a website, so anybody can participate and be found. What we're going to do at the summit is also to explain how to actually create your listing at the New England Foundation for the Arts, the NEFA site, which is called Creative Ground. And also but the brilliance of Blair, and I'm just gonna point this out of all the folks who are here today, was that Blair had to figure out how to pull in just the Western Mass artists and creatives and venues, etc. And also on the front page of the website, there's a rotating poll so that artists are constantly going through a cycling. So the reality is that you're only polled if your profile on Creative Ground is of a certain caliber, if the images actually look good, because we don't want to feature somebody whose images won't, portray them in a good light. So the summit will actually show people, how do you actually, be found? How do we actually help you increase your visibility as an artist? The other thing that Blair's been talking about is so important. The site also includes, I didn't go through everything earlier because there's so much, a calendar. He's figured out ways to scrape a number of calendars so that there's a lot of activities. We're also pulling in we have a resource page. How do you find funding? What's going on? Like, are there more PPPs? Are there more EIDLs? Are there more small business grants that are available? That's all going to be on the site. Also opportunities, which Justin had mentioned. What's happening? Is there an open studio call? Is there an exhibition opportunity? Is there public art opportunities? East Hampton City Arts recently had an opportunity to apply for a free studio space. So there's opportunities that we want to make sure everybody finds. And like Blair said, the way this will be best is if people send in their information. Blair and his team have created forms for every opportunity that's available. You can then populate the site. So we have a lot of opportunities for people. And as we've said, this will thrive best if people do get involved and if they take part. Because ultimately the goal is that this site helps your business.
Exactly. And one of the things, the Creative Economy Summit, that's part of this, January 10th through 14th. I've been very fortunate to work with you, Dee and Justin, and to bring together a group of presenters that represent all the possibilities of the how to do basic fundraising. We've got Nancy Wheeler, for example, from Wheeler Connect, which is a Northampton and Hartford and French-based consultancy. How to network in the days of Zoom. I mean, we all used to go networking to meet after 5 and all kinds of lunch meetings and this and that. But in this world of COVID and Zoom, how do you get your word and your name out there? Sean Moloney, my partner and colleague here on many projects, uses video to tell stories. And Sean, you're going to be doing a program which you've actually done. We did together at Western New England to teach people how to utilize video to do interviews, how to tell your story on video. And Sean, you grew out of the creative economy before you turned to filmmaking and videography. You had an arts newspaper called the Valley Optimist that was here in Western Mass for a long time, and then moved to found Dramatic Health. Tell us a little bit about Dramatic Health. And I've got to slip in that one of your films is going to the Cannes Film Festival. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mark. I'd like to actually go back to the Valley Optimist. We take good news seriously. That was our Artshub before one exists. And I just want to say how nice it is to be here with Dee and Blair and Justin. I'm quite honored to be joining you. That was our Artshub. And we put together a small community in a little white house off the streets of Northampton. And we set out our dreams to create a weekly newspaper with the advent of desktop publishing. And I love the name Hub because it really does bring everything together. And in order for the creative economy to work, for an artist to expand his or her horizons, as they say, creativity is allowing yourself to make mistakes. Art is knowing which ones to keep. That's a quote from Scott Adams. And this is that opportunity. And I have great admiration for it. And then if I would go back into my history with Dramatic Health, the next uncomfortable time, if you will, the potential mistake, but I knew, like I say, I had the art to know it wasn't, was to make health stories interesting, dynamic, and to create a discipline around the narratives in health. And 17 years later, Dramatic Health has produced about 4,000 real patient stories, and also clinical education for physicians, et cetera. But the same thing exists. I'm still a student. I'm a student within my company. I'm a student with my clients. And I love looking out into the student body and seeing a little bit of concern, will I be able to get this and so forth. And I guess that's where we come in as liaisons, but I think with humility, also students. And I learn as much from students as I do from my past. So it's a real honor. And that's just a little bit about me and a little bit of a preface to what we can expect second week in January. So thank you.
And we have some other guests that are signed up to come. Jeffrey Dreisbach from McCorkle Casting in New York is a former actor who has Western Massachusetts ties. McCorkle Casting does casting for Broadway, Hollywood, and theater, including TheaterWorks in Hartford and Barrington Stage. And Jeffrey's going to talk about how to audition and how to present yourself on video with your art and works like that. We have Janine Fondon from Unity First. Janine Fondon is a Pension Award winner who specializes in communications about equity, diversity, and inclusion, and how people can tell their stories in different communities, and I think she'll be of someone of interest. From the theater community, we have Kristen Vangenhoven from Wham Theater and Daniel Elihu Kramer from the Chester Theater, which are two small, very successful theater companies that work outside the paradigm to produce and promote theater. They're both nationally known, and they both generate their theatrical performances from Western Massachusetts. Those are the couple of the ones that come off the top of my head, or some of the people involved. Justin, you know of a couple of the others.
Yes, Dawn Spears, who is the head of the Northeast Indigenous Arts Alliance, and she also worked for NEFA for many years. Recently, she started a cohort of Native artists. It was the first Native arts entrepreneurial cohort that I was lucky to be part of through the Valley Creates Western Mass Capital Building Fund grant program. I'm also in talks with McGeezy Pensano, who is a producer for the show Reservation Dogs and a writer for the show, which was one of the top new shows of the past year. It is a Native-oriented show with Native writers, Native cast, Native producers, and it's one of the first times that's really been done ever in the history of television. And so I'm trying to work it out with his schedule to see if he'll be able to come and present on what it means to work through the transitioning of going from one stage to the next stage. In this case, fame, because I mean, this show was a runaway hit within not only Native communities but various other communities. It's starting to win a lot of awards. It just won. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name, but for best show under 40 minutes, best new show under 40 minutes, and it really has just really helped to increase the visibility of Native folks by presenting us in a modern context. It's about a group of youth living in Oklahoma and them dealing with the aftermath of friends' suicide, and they're just everyday lives as young people. And so it really reaches out and touches a lot of people in ways that people hadn't seen from the Native community before.
Yeah. I've got to ask Blair. Blair, how did you get involved in the Artshub? I mean, I know that you do technology and graphics and design work, but what drew you to this particular kind of work?
So, I mean, it was a grant request for proposals from Dee and Lisa DeVol, who Dee had mentioned. She and I've worked way back in the day with her on the Turners Falls River Culture Project. And so Lisa came to me and basically, invited me to apply. And we had put together, based on just the parameters of what we knew we had to do. One of the things that, we're Rhyme Digital, the company here, that we've done in the past is work on Northampton.live. And that was really, had some similar parallels where it's just, we knew that in order to make the site work, it would need to generate a lot of content. And where's that content going to come from? And, it just, us having a fundamental understanding of like what was going to be involved and how to, organize that data and, in terms of the artist profiles, how we're going to, strategically go out and scrape different calendars to bring in events to really have, again, get this fundamental foundation for the Artshub up and off the ground so that, it can start building momentum, with the summit and, in the months and years to come.
We're going to take a break in a couple of minutes to acknowledge the underwriters that make programs like On the Mark and Art Speed and Athenaeum Spotlight possible here on Westfield Community Programming Channel 15 and Southwick Community Programming 15, as well as 89.5 FM WSKB. Before we do, Dee, when will people be able to register for this January 10th through 14th summit, and how can they they get more information on both the Arts Hub and the Arts Extension Service?
Sure. So briefly, we have a Facebook page that is very simple. You just basically type in facebook.com/ArtsHub W for Western, and then MA for Massachusetts. So it's Artshub MA WMA, sorry. And you can also go to the Arts Extension Service website. If you go to our site, we are umass.edu/AES/ArtsHub, and we'll have all those links right there.
Okay.
In terms of getting onto the site itself, we'll be opening up in probably 2 weeks. So around December 15th, I believe. So we're still in the beta test phase. We're getting there, really making some headway.
And what will the website address for Artshub be when it, Blair, when it opens?
It will be artshubwma.org.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break to acknowledge the underwriters. Will return after these announcements. Peter Coles is our chief engineer. I'm Mark Auerbach, and if you missed a part of today's program or you want to share it with your friends, it's archived on YouTube under WSKB Community Radio. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Hi, this is Harry Rock, host of Rock on Westfield every fourth Wednesday at 8 a.m. Tune in for my view of this place I call home.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Welcome back to On the Mark, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Auerbach, and in this segment of today's program, we're talking about the Arts Hub and the Creative Economy Summit that's going to be taking place January 10th through 14th. It's virtual, so you can participate from your office, from your home. You don't need to be in Massachusetts to participate, so if you're lucky enough to be spending January on a beach or a secluded island somewhere and you have Wi-Fi, you can be a part of this. We have Boyle Clapp from the Arts Extension Service at UMass, Justin Beatty, who's one of the collaborators on this particular project, Blair Winans, who designed the Arts Hub website, and Sean Moloney from Dramatic Health, who's going to be one of the guest presenters. It's again, really great to have all of you on this program, and I think what we're all trying to accomplish is really a wonderful opportunity for individual artists, emerging arts organizations, as well as the more seasoned professionals that either want to network or just kind of see what's new and exciting and going on. I'm going to be a presenter on one of the programs, and I'm going to be doing a basic public relations 101 kind of workshop, and to help individuals as well as small businesses produce public relations campaigns that you can do on a limited budget, but with the maximum effect, and to let people realize that since many of us that are artists, we are our own product, it becomes very difficult to self-promote sometimes. It's a very uncomfortable thing to do. But with a good public relations program and in place, it's certainly possible. Sean, since you're one of the presenters, what are some of the things that you will be talking about in January when you do your presentation?
Sure. So, at one time or another, we're a health patient or a caregiver. Health is it's something we all have in common. And my goal will be to help people understand how to tell compelling, accurate, and emotion-eliciting stories in health. I guess there's two real benefits to that. On one side, yes, we can share our story in life, which is extremely beneficial these days across social media to help people. But the second is the ability to have the understanding of how to create narratives, how to understand the dramatic arc, the context, the conflict, and the resolution, and to plot that journey along that arc and go through that exercise and then practice the art and science of interviewing. Two people can interview the same person, you're going to get a totally different set of footage. But what is diagnostic interview? What is the art and science of interviewing? And how can I conduct the most thoughtful interviews that elicit that content I'm after, as I see in the vision of my production? So those are a few elements of my presentation. I hope that students and others and non-students walk away not just understanding the health narrative, but perhaps the discipline of generally telling narratives. That would be my goal. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, again, we presented together at Western New England University for their communications and public relations classes. We've done it a couple of times, I think. And I learn more every time I interact with students and people starting out. And we have a program here called What Young People Think that we produce and air about every 3 weeks. And we have students from either Westfield State or AIC or Western New England come on, and they talk about current events and programs and trends. And us old dogs can learn a lot of new tricks from the young people coming up. So I think that some of us that have been in the biz a long time may really have a great opportunity here to see what other people are doing and things that we never thought about before, either because everybody's situations are different. We only have a couple of minutes here, Dee. So I wanted to ask Dee, is there a capacity limit of people who can participate in this summit? I would assume people need to register early, correct?
They do. They should register right away. I believe we'll have a max of 200, but we're still in negotiation with the conference services company that we are working with right now. So we'll have that. But we do want people to, just as you said earlier, so $35 fee. You can participate in one, several, or all of the events that take place. There's going to be a lot. I just wanted to add 2 quick things. So Sean's concept is wonderful because artists can actually apply this to whatever field that they are in. And as we have all become zoomed out, everybody's now looking at everyone's websites. You have to have a good story. You have to be able to present this well on your site. And organizations, this is for everyone. This is for musicians and for actors and for crafts people. Telling your story in an innovative and exciting way is going to be the way that people remember you. So those are exciting things. We're also going to have Andre Green talk about how he uses TikTok in such an innovative way to utilize best social media practices. And then we also have Burns Maxey, who's going to be talking about how do I use analytics? There's so much data that we have access to. It's worthless if you don't know how to apply it. So we're going to really try to help people unpack, how do I do this? How do I survive? How do I thrive? How do I really, grow my business in a time that the fields that we all work in have been just so condensed because of COVID. And now people are starting to come back, or we have to possibly go back into another lockdown. So how do I stay alive during all these transitions?
Not only that, but I think it's important for artists to learn how to pivot in times of change. We've all had to do that to survive during pandemic part 1. And I've seen a lot of arts organizations, just about everybody has survived. But the ones that are thriving are the ones that tried new things, pushed new boundaries, and all of that. And this summit and Artshub will give people the connections to other people who they can collaborate with, but also the opportunity to learn the basics and some of the new things so that you can pivot and make it and change, and you're not caught in the same old routine, because business as usual doesn't exist anymore.
Absolutely.
So we got a couple of seconds here. How do people find out about Artshub? And it launches in a couple of weeks, the website and all the social media things. Blair, you could share the website info, and Dee, you can tell people how to find out more.
The website is going to be at artshubwma.org.
Okay.
So keep an eye out for that in the coming weeks.
And Dee, where do people find out about the summit?
You will find that out about Summit at the Arts Extension Services website. You're going to go specifically to the Western Mass Arts Hub page. So go to umass.edu/AES/ArtsHub. Also, you can go to the Facebook page, which is now changed. It's facebook.com/ArtsHubWMA.
Okay, and Sean Moloney, if people want to learn about dramatic health before they show up for your seminar, how can they learn more about dramatic health?
Well, thanks for that opportunity. Dramatichealth.com. But if you'd also like to explore hundreds and hundreds of patient stories across many conditions, healthcosmos.com.
And I got to say, your personal story is in healthcosmos.com. And you and I had this really incredible opportunity to collaborate on a podcast series called Game Changers in Medicine, which is still out there and well worth the listen at gamechangersinmedicine.com. And Justin, how can people find out more about what you're working on?
Well, first of all, in terms of artwork, you can visit my website, www.jbdvart.com. And on Facebook, you can look up the Odenong Powwow. That's O-D-E-N as in Nancy, O-N as in Nancy, G Powwow. And we post about the powwow that's coming up in May, as well as other events that pertain to the Native community here in Western Massachusetts and abroad.
Well, thank you all for joining me this morning. I hope I get to see all of you at the Creative Economy Arts Hub Summit, either virtually or in person. D. Boyle, Clapp, Justin Beatty, Blair, Winans, and Sean Moloney, thanks for being here with us. We're going to take a break to acknowledge the underwriters that make On the Mark and other programs possible here on Westfield Community Programming, Channel 15, now Southwick Community Programming 15 as well, and 89.5 FM WSKB. Peter Coles is our chief engineer this morning. I'm Mark Auerbach, and if you missed a part of today's program or you want to share it with somebody else, you'll find it archived on YouTube under WSKB Community Radio. We'll be right back.
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donuts Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Join us every Thursday morning
from 6 until at least 7:30.
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show
right here on WSKB 89.5
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Welcome back to On the Mark, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Auerbach. In the studio, Jacob Batista from Westfield State University.
Hello.
And one of the communications students there. And your communications program is involved in a fundraiser going on right now.
Yep.
For a nonprofit organization. It's something that the communications department does every semester, I believe,
Yep.
Raising money for a local not-for-profit. So who is the recipient of your largesse this year?
Yeah, so we're working with Manna Community Kitchen. They label themselves as a community kitchen, but they're much more than that. They try to help with people who face hunger, food insecurity, and they also try to help the community with, those who struggle financially and who are unhoused. There's a big project that they're working on, and it's the Locker Project, and that's currently the thing that we're trying to promote, and it does really great things. Basically, the Locker program, it gives people who are unhoused access to a locker, and within that locker, they can put anything they'd like, their belongings, and, me and you, we can, go back to our homes, and we have all of our things there, but for these people, they have to carry everything on their back, and, that leaves it open to the weather, that leaves it open to potentially being taken, and, these are all the things that these people have. So having the locker, it allows them to, store their belongings. And currently in Northampton, where this is all located, they have 24 lockers, and they're all currently being occupied. So MANA hopes that they can expand this project, they can get more lockers, and more people can, have a space to put their things.
Now, you guys are doing a whole variety of fundraising and awareness programs.
Yep.
How did you pick the organization to support, or were there a lot of organizations that were interested in your help, or how did it come to be that you chose MANA?
Yeah, I know that Westfield is approached by various different organizations, and we just pair up one that works. I know that MANA approached us, and it worked out. They have a really good mission statement and something that we support, and something that the Public Relations Department can do a great job to help out.
How many people are involved on your team in putting together this whole fundraiser?
Right, so it's my entire advanced public relations class, so it's about like 17 or 18 students. So we're all just working together. Currently we have some things going on social media. We have a social media account you can follow on Facebook and Instagram. Secure a lock on homelessness, that is, and periods between for all of the spaces. But yeah, all of us are just sort of working together, pushing things on social media and planning events in person, some of which will have happened by the time that this is out. But there are some events planned.
Are they more to raise money or to raise awareness for this organization, or are they a combination of both?
Yeah, so, MANA Community Kitchen isn't something that I knew about before having to work with them, but they certainly do great things. So, of course, we want people to be aware of what they do. And part of that is, to do more of the things that they need to do. Donations certainly help. So if they could get that along the way, that would be great.
Yeah, and you've got one more program, one more fundraiser set after this program airs. What are some of the things that you've done? What kind of events and activities have you done to raise money?
Yeah, so we would have had our event at the Holyoke Mall, and there's a raffle and giveaways being involved. So if you would like to donate, you could be entered into a raffle, and in the raffle, you guess how many candy pieces are in a locker. So in the Secure the Lock on homelessness, we're going to have a locker. People can guess how many items are in there, and that's part of the raffle. Some of the prizes that we'll be giving away will be a Yeti cup and AirPods. So some good prizes. And then there will be some on-campus events on the 9th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and also 4:30 to 7:30 at the Dining Commons at Westfield. We'll be having an event. And there we'll have Palenko games and, various other things.
Yeah, do you find that the university community gets behind this? Is it a hard sell to people? I mean, a lot of the people that go to Westfield State are not from this area, so is it a hard sell to get students and faculty to support a community organization? Does it involve, as a PR person, does it involve extra work?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. We definitely tried to make it fun so that the community, especially in Westfield, engages, and we'll be there and we'll know a lot of the community. So hopefully, people will have come because of that. And also, potentially MANA's efforts could expand and, a lot of these things are really important in a lot of people's lives. So whether it's directly in this community or not, I think it's a cause that people care about and will help out for.
Now, you're a communications student at Westfield. What year are you in?
I'm in my senior year.
You're in your senior year, so you're going to be out hunting for work relatively soon, right?
Yeah, sooner than I expect.
Yeah. So how did this experience in working on something like this change your viewpoint, if at all, about what public relations is all about?
I think it's really interesting to like work with the people firsthand. There's a lot of things that you sort of read it in the books, and then when it comes to like, transitioning to a real client, there's really cool things. But yeah.
Now, I know you've done other projects. I believe you or Suzanne Boniface, who's one of the professors at Westfield State, said that you're doing radio as well, that you have your own radio show. And that's on WSKB?
Yeah, I do. I do have my show on WSKB. It is called The Vortex. I have a slot from 8 to 10 on Thursdays, and it's an absolute blast. I love being on air.
Yeah, and how long have you been doing this?
I started probably, I think, second semester of my freshman year. So each semester it's pretty much like a new time for me. So I've done it probably like 3 or 4 times. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That sounds great. I mean, and for folks that you listen to WSKB as part of Westfield Community Programming from 6 to 10 every day. WSKB is primarily a community program with stuff like On the Mark and Artshub and stuff like that. And then the rest of the day, it's a student-run station, licensed to Westfield State University. I sort of miss doing radio up there on the 3rd floor of Ely and hearing some of the other programs that generate from there. But your program can be heard online at WSKB.org.
Right. Yeah, that's a great way that we push the show. We can just post the website link and people can click on it. But yeah, the show's great. It gives people a lot of freedom to have different shows, to play different things on air, to talk about sports, talk about music. And it's a great space. I like playing my own music there, either if I'm doing a show by myself or with someone else. It's always a great time, and it's a great space for sure.
So when you graduate this year, having had this experience with doing this campaign for MANA, what do you think you want to do? Do you have any ideas?
I was always very unsure about things, but after working with a nonprofit, there's definitely a lot of really important work that things like that, like organizations like that do, and I think that's really great. Obviously, working with the radio, that's something I enjoy and something that can be tied into PR very well. So.
Yeah, I spend my work life doing both. It's a great tie-in for the two of them.
Yeah.
And all of that good stuff. So before we run along here, give us, how can people that are not part of the Westfield State community, how can they participate if they wanted to support MANA? Does MANA have a website?
Yeah, MANA has a website. It's MANA Community Kitchen. If you Google that, you should find it. If you want to find our social media for the event, like I said, it is Secure a Lock on Homelessness with a period for all of the spaces. And if you would like to donate to our Venmo, you don't have to be local to donate to that. That is Secure a Lock on Homelessness, but it is underscores for all of the spaces.
Okay, and people could go to your Facebook page or Instagram or something. Can they donate from there if they so choose?
Yeah, I believe the link is on the Instagram, and I would assume the same for Facebook.
And do you have a dollar goal of what you're trying to raise from this campaign?
Yeah, I'm not sure off the top of my head what our dollar amount is, but we definitely have like high goals that we hope to expect to get, and we hope to give MANA the resources to give the community the resources that they're going to give them.
Yeah, and this is this is the time of year between Thanksgiving and the holidays where people are in the spirit of giving and helping people that
Right.
don't necessarily have the advantages that you have or I have. So, if you're thinking about helping and making your community better, this is certainly a good opportunity, and it's certainly, I would say, it's a great learning experience for you.
Yeah, for sure. Working with, MANA deals with unhoused people, and, they deal with so many issues, and they've explained to us that personally. And, during the holiday season, it's a great time to help out, and I'm sure they would really appreciate it.
Great. Thanks for joining us. Jacob Batista from Westfield State University, the communications department there and the public relations class that is Suzanne Boniface's class works every semester to raise money for a worthy nonprofit in the area. And this year it's the Manna Food Kitchen and the Locker Program in Northampton. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And this wraps up another edition of On the Mark on WSKB 89.5 FM, Westfield Community Programming Channel 15, and now Southwick Community Programming Channel 15. Join us every week for another program of On the Mark. Peter Coles has been our chief engineer today. I'm Mark Auerbach. We'll see you next week.